Okay, YouTube always takes a couple of goes before it will go live for some reason. And I'm live. Whoops, come on. Okay, I'm on YouTube. There we go. I'm on YouTube and Facebook. If you're watching me on YouTube, the reason I'm never looking at you is because my big platforms are Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So I'm always looking at them. They're on my phone here, right beside here. Okay. That's where I get tons of questions coming through. Okay. So while we're waiting, I'd love to know where you're from. What part of the world are you in? I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. I live downtown. That's why you can hear all the traffic all the time, 24/7. Okay. So where are you from? Another Lisa. I'll bet I had the name before you did. Is your middle name Marie? I think maybe if you're younger, it might not be. But when I was growing up, I knew 7 Lisas, and 6 of us were Lisa Marie. Okay, I'm just waiting. Where are you from, by the way? I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. Gorgeous sunny day. Still sunny. I had to pull the blinds down because I get the night sun, unfortunately. You always want the morning sun, but I've either got a city view or morning sun. So I've got the city view at night, but I've also got the sunset in my face. Okay. Okay, well, let's just get going with your parenting questions. I don't know why, but Facebook's been slower with lives lately for some reason. Don't know why. But anyway, so if I don't get a lot of questions, I'll just move over to Instagram and TikTok because they're always really busy. So anyway, so what are your parenting questions? Oh, I'll introduce myself. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. So let's get going with your parenting questions. I'll do my best to answer them, and I'll salt and pepper in some other stuff. Is it salt and pepper or just pepper in some other stuff as we go along? Okay, I got no questions right now. So I'm just going to talk about the importance of effectively ignoring a tantrum. You completely ignore a tantrum, but you're right there. You're not on your phone. You're not dismissive, but you're just letting them have it out, letting them process the whole tantrum. And that will decrease in intensity, frequency, and duration over a period of time. Any attention with a tantrum is tantrum food. You're fertilizing it if you give them any attention. So you completely ignore a tantrum. If they get violent and start kicking and all that sort of stuff, you just physically restrain them, but you don't look at them or talk to them. And there's no point discussing tantrums before, during, or after. No point whatsoever. My 17-year-old literally ignores me. Tips, please. Well, I'll just read out my top 4 tips for parenting teenagers. Most teenage stuff is coaching. If you're interested, I specialize in teenagers. It's hard with teenagers for sure. A lot of people won't work with teenagers. They're my favorite age, but I get it. They're definitely more challenging. Okay, these are my top 4 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. And by the way, they already know it. Number 2 is you negotiate pretty much everything. It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? You're building reciprocity. You give respect to get it. By the way, you got to give, get, give. It's an investment with teenagers. Okay, number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. Okay, or say, do you want to hear what I did this morning? And laugh it off. We all do dumb stuff. There's no shame in doing dumb stuff. Okay, and number 4 is don't leverage the good times to talk about the bad times. A lot of parents of teenagers do this. They've got a lot of built-up resentment towards what their teenagers have dragged them through. So as soon as I help them connect with their teenager, then they use those opportunities to discuss how hurt they were for the last couple of years or whatever. They'll shut you right out. Do not leverage the good times to talk about the bad times. Okay, how can I get my 13-month-old to go to sleep in his crib? He falls asleep in my bed, transition to the crib. Okay, he's too young for bedtime battles, but I'll tell you what I did. That's more sleep training. I just put them to bed, let them cry it out in bed. Every 5 minutes I go in. They're probably standing up screaming. I lay them down. They're going to stand up again, but I try and lay them down. I go, you're okay. Oh, Anyway, the other thing I might do, and then you leave for 5 minutes, you come back in, you do that every 5 minutes. But another way of doing it, it's a little bit easier, is you sit beside them in a chair and you give them just your arm. Put your arm in the crib and it's sort of in the dark, a little bit of a night light, and look like you're nodding off, like you're asleep. Don't talk to them, don't look at them. So you're right there, but you're letting them know it's sleep time. That's an easier one. I don't know anyone else who teaches anything with parenting, but anyway, I'm sure other people have come up with that one too. But yeah, you just sit there, look like you're falling asleep, or pretend you're asleep, and you can just give them your arm. They're still going to cry, and that's part of it, right? Transitions are they're difficult. Okay, how do I teach my 18-month-old child to share? Yeah, you don't really teach them how to share. The only thing that you can do is teach them how not to grab stuff, okay? So, but yeah, they don't really understand the concept of sharing at 18 months old. They can be taught not to grab stuff. If they grab something, you say no and you give it back to the other kid. And you remove them for a couple of minutes. You take them with you. You don't put them in timeout. You just take them with you for a couple of minutes. They'll eventually learn. It's tough. None of this is supposed to be easy, but it's to get you where you want to go. You want to set yourself up as a leader so that you can relax and enjoy parenting, so you don't have to discipline. I don't really focus on discipline, but it's what everyone asks me. I focus more on connecting with kids. That's what leadership is. So I'm just looking at all my notes. I always think I've got all these great notes, and then I look over them and I go, oh, they're not all that great. But anyway, okay. How do I get my 4-year-old to shut the door at bedtime? To shut the door instead of keeping the door wide open until she falls asleep. What's wrong with the door being wide open until she falls asleep? Is that a problem? I don't understand. I wouldn't have a problem with that, so I don't quite know what you mean. Okay, God, you're going to hate me, Crystal. How do you handle 4-year-old who repeats everything you say, mocks you, and constantly says words she's not supposed to? That's a tell. It means that she doesn't respect you. So you got to work on your leadership skills. Remember, we're never fixing kids here. We're teaching parents. You're a leader. That attitude stuff just doesn't happen. So work on your leadership skills. You might want to check out my boot camp course. Everything's in the link above. Check it out. At the very least, check out the behavior board. It's completely free. The next level is the boot camp course. The next level is coaching with me. But I've got a wait list for coaching. But anyway, yeah, just means she doesn't respect you. It's a tell. Like you've kind of trained them to do that by not leading. You know what I mean? They're only doing their behavior between the ages of 3 and 12 years old is a direct result of your parenting. So it's your responsibility. Like their behavior is your responsibility, not theirs. So yeah, and which is good news. You can only change yourself anyway. So you lead, they will follow. Too many parents are reacting to their children. You want your children to react to you. That's leadership, right? Boy, Facebook's been really slow on lives lately. I don't know why. It doesn't matter. What I might do is, because it is slow and it's kind of late anyway, I might just hop over to Instagram now because it's always busy over there and on TikTok. So I'm going to hop over there now. I'm on YouTube the whole time. That's where I save all my lives. Anyway, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. Happy parenting. I don't know why Facebook Lives have been slower the last couple days. Ooh, what the heck? And now, why did that happen? Trying to get on there. Here we go. It was pointing and it was filming my whiteboard instead of me. It doesn't usually do that. It usually auto corrects for some reason, because when you're doing a live, you're usually doing it facing the camera. Anyway, whatever. Okay. So let's see how many people I get. It is a weird time to be on, but yeah, Facebook's been really slow yesterday and today, I think. Anyway, so let's see. I should get 150 pretty quick. Just waiting, just counting, seeing how many people. I usually get started when we hit 150. It usually takes about 8 to 10 seconds there. Okay. Michigan. Hi, Michigan. Okay. I'm just going to introduce myself first. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. So let's get going with your questions now. I just came over from Facebook and I'll be going to TikTok, but I'm on YouTube the whole time. That's where I save all of my lives. So let me see. Why do my 14-month-old twins hit each other and us? Because they're all physical. They don't have words yet, so they're just physical. They're just testing stuff out, okay? So yeah, you want to interrupt that and say no and just separate them from the victim or whatever, and just hold their hand if you have to and just say no like that. You never want to say no to a baby. I think they're babies till they're about 16 months old. You never want to say no to a baby or it makes them cry. So you just go no and you hold their hand down and then you just kind of, not snub them, but you just kind of ignore them for a second. And they'll eventually learn, but it takes a while. Okay. How do I get my 4-year-old to not need me to sit in the hallway till they fall asleep at night? Just don't sit in the hallway. Check out my bedtime battles course. That'll teach you how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. Keeping them there is the hard part. All my courses are linked above, and it's the bedtime battles one. That is by far my most successful one of the most difficult things to do. It's usually one night of hell, but one of my most successful methods or systems or whatever is the bedtime battles. It's usually one night of hell and then gets easier. It's hard to do though. That's why I call it one night of hell. Okay. Utah. Hi, Utah. I got a bunch of clients. Actually, I went through a whole bunch of clients for a while there. I think what happened is one of my clients told they had like a bunch of friends that they told, I think at church, and then they all hired me. So I went through a whole church at Utah once. Southern California. Hi, Arizona. Perth, Australia. Never made it over west. My kids were born and raised on the East Coast in Australia. Kaya Ora from New Zealand. Never heard of Kaya Ora. Never heard of that. From New Zealand. We used to ski in New Zealand because we lived in Australia. In Queenstown, we used to go down there. It's beautiful. Oh, something about it down there. It was just so scenic and so beautiful. Not the best skiing, but it was pretty good. Because I grew up I used to go to Whistler all the time here in Vancouver, in BC. So, but it was good. That's where my kids learned how to ski. Okay. How to get a 5-year-old to stop being extremely mean to 3-year-old brother. Put down on the behavior board, no being mean to your brother. And then you can put in brackets, that means hitting, teasing, whatever. And you explain what that is. And then there's a consequence. So yeah. They learn through consequences. Now that's 3 and above is the behavior board. So he's old enough to learn that. So whenever he's mean, he has to do something nice for him or a media blackout or whatever. Check out the behavior board. You'll see how to do that. Any advice on bedtime routine? My 20-month-old cries a lot when I try to leave the room. My bedtime battles course, it's a whole system, and it starts at 2. So, but you could, as long as they're not in a crib, they have to be able to get out of bed. They can't be in a crib when you do this. So yeah. Anyway, check it out if you're interested. If they're not in a crib, if they're in a bed, you can do the bedtime battles course. How do you stop a 2-year-old to stop hitting as a joke? Okay, you don't treat it like a joke. So you say no, and then you take him away from the fun or the fun away from him for a period of time. And be very serious and don't discuss it. Everyone's discussing all this stuff with toddlers. They don't need therapy sessions. They need quick action, consistent corrective action. They learn through repetition. They remember the one time you're not consistent though. So you got to be 100% consistent when you're trying to correct one specific behavior. So when I say remove a child, you do not put them in timeout. You just move them away from whatever fun's going on, but no timeout. You can take them with you, but don't put them in timeout. I hate timeout. I think it's humiliating. I think it's mean. Okay, so I'm scrolling ahead because I got too many questions to answer, and I want to make sure you're still here. So that's why people come and go. I always think, I only got like a couple hundred people in the live, but then it turns out it was a couple thousand because people come and go in these lives all the time. 7-year-old boy stealing, put on the behavior board, no stealing. And when he does, there's a consequence. I'd look into that. Anyway, I don't go into that in my boot camp course. There's a reason. There's certain things I just don't discuss in the boot camp course, or I didn't go into that in great detail if I even mentioned it at all. But if it's really a problem and it's been going on for quite some time, you might want to look into coaching. Any advice on biting? Yeah, I have a toddler course on biting and hitting. If you want to check that out, it's in the link above. It's just consistent corrective actions. What about Zen rooms instead of timeout spot? No. Zen rooms. Does that really work? I couldn't imagine it. Yeah, what you're trying to do is you're trying to diffuse the situation. I don't do that. I'd rather them go through the storm because that's where the rainbow is. If you're always avoiding the storm, where's the lesson? You want them to learn how to go through the storm, learn how to control themselves. Your Zen rooms and stuff like that, they're sort of, you're trying to diffuse it. You're trying to avoid it. I don't do that. I let them go for it. Okay, have at it. If you want to have a tantrum, have at it, because that's where all the lessons are. It's like that 8-year-old who just met me. I was supposed to work with him, and he said to me, "If you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit." And I said, "Bring it on." And he never did. Like, I would never diffuse that. I wanted him to have a fit. He never did, though. He realized. He was like, "Oops, she knows what she's doing." So, yeah, I never try and diffuse or avoid, ever. Is yelling ever helpful or have a place? No, unless it's like, look out for that bus. Yeah, if you're going to get hit by a car or something, or a bus. But yeah, yelling is one of those things that works in the short term, but it backfires big time down the road. And it's not the nicest thing to do. Most of my clients yell. That's why on the behavior board, it's usually the rule for the parents is no yelling. But yeah, it's one of those short-term things, but it backfires down the road. It's not a long-term thing. It only works because it's fear-based. You're scaring them. You really want to do that? No. And it makes you look like you're afraid of them because you've lost control. Yelling is a sign of a loss of control. Leaders would never yell. I was never yelled at. I never yelled at my kids. I want a boot camp class. That's all in the link above. If you want to sign up, you can just sign up for that. Coaching is different. You have to do an intake form on my website and all that. And I've got a big wait list. Actually, it's not bad right now. I think I'm just going to check, see how many I've got. I've only got there's only about 20 people on the wait list right now. So, yeah, so it's not bad. Okay. Gee, that's bright. I turned up okay. Tips for kids with ADD. Well, I don't treat them any different. That's where I learned all this stuff. Your leadership doesn't have any effect, doesn't have any change if they have ADD, WH. Where was I going with it? WH. Where was I going with that? Or was I saying W? Anyway, your leadership is not affected by ADD, ADHD. Where was I going with that other one? ODD, which isn't really a thing anyway, oppositional defiant disorder. Autism's a little bit different. It's more of a specialty, but all that stuff's just, they're still just normal kids with ADD. They're normal kids with autism too. They just, sometimes think a little bit differently. And they're all so different. Kids with autism, they're all so unique. That's why it's just coaching. But yeah, ADD, I don't treat. That's where I learned all this stuff. Most of the kids I worked with, I used to call them alphabet kids. They all had ADHD, WXYZ. That's where I was going. WXYZ. There you go. That's where I was going with that. I knew I had a thing going with that, but I say it so often I never think about it. Anyway, those are all the kids that taught me all this stuff. Okay, Sarah, I got to scroll ahead to make sure you're still here while I answer your questions. Okay. Okay, how do you prepare for the first, okay, I'm going to mention a couple things here. How do you prepare for the first drop-off at preschool when you haven't done that before? Any way to avoid tears? Never avoid these things. Like, it's going to happen. This is part of life. Sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry, sometimes we get mad. It's okay. Don't try and avoid that stuff. But you can minimize it by making the goodbye and the hello as quick as possible. So just do the drop-off and say, okay, have fun. See you later. Always end with that upturn. And when you're going to see them, see you later, and then off you go. And then you go cry in the parking lot like I did. Both my kids were pretty good. They got a little bit emotional, but I was a mess. Anyway, so yeah, just make it quick. But yeah, you don't want to avoid any of this stuff because it's going to happen. This is part of life. Okay, 3.5-year-old doesn't want to poop on the toilet. A very common thing. It's usually boys too, for some reason. Well, I kind of know why, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Anyway, I call it plot phobia. Is one of the reasons they don't want the splashback. The other reason why they don't want to poop on the toilet is that they don't like the hanging feeling when they're, what is hanging in midair and it's tugging on their insides there. They don't like that. That's another reason. The other one is cold. They might just be getting cold. So what you do is you get a little porta potty, hike the heat up in the bathroom, put the toilet paper in the bottom of the porta potty so that there's no splashback. And also they can feel that on their bum. It's because they kind of like pooping when it's all smashed in and warm and there's no water that's going to splash them. So give that a go. It's very common with boys because they got more equipment hanging down there. That's why, and with the splashing, I think that's why boys are more likely to not want to poop on the toilet. Okay, you asked about autism. I just mentioned that, and that's only in coaching do I discuss autism. It's more of a specialty, so that you'd have to look into coaching if you were interested. All of my stuff, all my courses and my coaching is all in that link above. Yeah, it's I get some girls who don't like pooping on the toilet also, but it's usually boys. People say they're actually harder to potty train too. I haven't found that with clients. I haven't found that at all. But they often do not want to poop on the toilet. That's why I always have, in my potty training course, I always suggest you also have a porta potty. So it's not just they have two options. Will an only child be a strange one? What an interesting way of putting that. I was kind of an only child, and so was my brother, which kind of sounds like an oxymoron, but it's because there was like 16 years between us. So we were never fighting over Barbies. I mean, so we both grew. They say 7 years is the cutoff. If you have 7 years between your kids, they don't grow up as siblings. They grow up as a single, like an only child, then the other only child. They don't grow up and they don't relate as siblings, evidently. I've heard that, but yeah, we had a big age gap. So if you think I'm strange, then maybe only children are strange. Okay. Will a child want a parent to misbehave if the consequence for this behavior is a benefit to the child? What this parent's asking here is on the behavior board, the parent's consequence or rule is no yelling. And then the consequence is you play hide and seek for 5 minutes or 15 minutes if you yell. So what they're asking is, won't the kids want you to yell? Yeah, they will. It happens all the time. So don't worry about that. It's quite funny. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to act out to get you to yell, but they're pretty excited when you do yell. They go racing over to that behavior board so fast. So yeah. Tips for a single mother to a preteen boy. Well, I was a single mom with I had 2 teenagers when they were teenagers. We separated when they were 14 and 9. And but yeah, so I raised son. Anyway, no real tips. All I can do is I'll read out my top 4 parenting tips for teenagers. Okay, so I think that's probably will help you a little bit, especially the first one. Number 1 is you listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it, and they already know it anyway. Okay, number 2 is you negotiate pretty much everything. It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper. What do you want from me? You're building reciprocity. You're building respect. You give respect to get it. Number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. I know he's preteen, but you can you're kind of going into the teens. So don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, say, well, that was stupid. Wait till you hear what I did when I was your age and laugh it off. It's okay to make mistakes. Number 4 is don't leverage the good times to talk about the bad times. This can be said for any age, really, but parents of teenagers have a lot of resentment and anger towards their teenager that have maybe dragged them through the mud over the years. And as soon as I teach them how to start really connecting with them, they'll often use those connecting times to talk about all the hell that their teenager put them through. They will shut you right out again. Anyway, a lot of parents do that. They just can't wait. They got to get the stuff out of their system. I say, tell me, don't tell your teenager. Do you have a preference for public school over homeschool? If I did, I wouldn't talk about it because that's my own personal views, and that's not what we're here for. I have no professional advice for that because really it's a personal choice. It's like religion. That's a personal choice. Whether or not you breastfeed till your kids are up and running around, that's your personal choice. Or co-sleeping. All those things are personal choices. So there's no right or wrong, no graded. I really don't have any views on that, to be honest. Okay, my toddler's trying to drop her nap ever since the new toddler bed. She likes to kick the walls for attention. Yeah, maybe they don't need a nap. My kids stopped napping at 12 months old, so potentially they might not need a nap. I don't know. I'd have to kind of look into that. Homework time is hell. Any help? You can use the as soon as method. You can go on video games tonight as soon as you finished your homework. So use the as soon as method. So yeah, of course you can do that as soon as you finished your homework. My kids knew that from a really young age. They understood you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. I never really told them what to do. If I saw they hadn't made their bed yet, I would just wait. And as soon as they said, Mom, can I please have a snack? I'd say, sure, as soon as you've made your bed. Oh, sorry, Mom, I forgot. It's like that. Try the as soon as method. That's just one of the ways you can do it. Child is lazy. Hell, what do you want them to do? Detail your car and go out and get a job? I don't know what you mean. God, I'm sassy. That is so uncalled for. I don't even know why I did that. Oh, God, crazy. Someone said, you're so classy. And I just said, I'm sassy. You obviously wrote that before you heard what I just said. Oh, God, that cracked me up. Not in a good way. Okay. I just had a long day today. I worked up a real sweat. If you're watching tonight, one of my clients, I was trying to get my point across, and I was literally working up a sweat. I told her that. I said, whew, how are you feeling? I'm sweating here. I love coaching. It's my favorite thing to do in my business. I get involved. You got to put the age down. I would love to answer that question, but I really need to know the age before I can answer it. It's about the complaining. But you have to put the whole question and the age, because I won't remember to go back. If you just put the age, I won't remember the question. Okay. This is, the rich parent. You were here yesterday, I think. How to teach much older siblings to be leaders to their younger siblings. 13-year-old gets stressed and starts yelling at 3-year-old. Okay. You don't teach them how to be leaders. That's your role. You teach them how to be heroes. Heroes is different. Teach them how to set themselves up as being a hero. God, there's so many different ways I could go with that. I always stumble when I got too many ideas. I'll just say it. I'll make it quick and easy. You don't want them to be leaders. You don't want them to be disciplining young children or anything, but you want them to be heroes. Okay. You want them to play with them for a period of time or whatever and be the hero. So you want to set older siblings up to be heroes, not leaders. There's lots of different, it's a lot more to it, but it's kind of involved. Should that be in a course somewhere? Let me look. Older sibs, heroes, not leaders. Oh, maybe right about that. Yeah, I might put that in a course. Something. Okay. It's a good question. I have 5-year-old daughter and 3-year-old boy twins, and they are ignoring me ignore me. They start to listen when I start to yell or just laughing. Okay, that is just the utmost lack of respect. It means you're not a leader. You got to earn that. Remember, we're not fixing kids here. We're teaching parents. You learn your leadership skills, set yourself up as a leader, and they won't act like that. They're going to respect you. So check out my boot camp course. It might be a really good fit for you. It's 5 weeks, teaches you how to be a leader in 5 weeks. You got to work on your leadership skills. You got to earn respect. People expect it to just be there. That's ridiculous. You got to work for it. You got to earn it. I work my butt off with kids earning their respect. It gets easy. Once you get good at it, it's easy to do. But I had to figure it all out on my own. No one was teaching me this. Okay. Oh, okay. That's that same question. My kids complain about everything. Where we go, then what to do. Okay. What leadership skill? Okay. twins, 8 and a 5-year-old. Okay, again, check out my boot camp course. If they're arguing and there's a lot of, you know what that says to me? It says they're all fighting for the leadership role. It means you're not a leader. So check out the boot camp course. It's 5 weeks. It's got lots of videos, mostly written, but the videos are there to back it up. And also, I did a whole bunch of sessions, group coaching sessions, and I've put those all in there with people going through the course. So you'll see other parents dealing with the same stuff you're dealing with. Anyway, check that out. That might be a good fit for you. So you can't fix that. You fix yourself. We're never fixing kids. We're teaching parents. You lead, they will follow. They're just fighting for the leadership role because no one's taken it yet. That's your job. You take that. 2-year-old hitting, check out my Toddlers Who Hit course. It's one of my mini niche courses up in the link above. Everything I have is in the link above. If, oh God, this just brought back a memory. How can I communicate with my 6-month-old not to bite while nursing? God. Oh, I remember one really bad bite from my son once. Oh my God, I was bleeding and it was awful. I did yell, like I screamed out in pain, scared the bejeebies out of him, the poor kid. Then I had to phone the doctor. Turns out it is okay that they drink blood. So I was just freaking out. Yeah, there's not much you can do. One good yell, usually they kind of learn. It's one of those things. As soon as and sometimes when they've bitten and they know they should, they learn pretty quick, actually. You just go no, and you take them off the boob, right? And then they'll kind of pretend to bite and they'll look at you and they'll think, is this what you don't like? And yeah, no. So you just kind of keep letting them know. You're going to have to go through a few rough feeds though. Oh God, I'll never forget that one. I literally just screamed out in pain. It was my first kid. I hadn't been through that before. Yeah, it hurts. Do you think it's easier for someone to be a leader if they sound or look intimidating? Well, I found leadership easy, and I was doing it when I was 11 years old with kids. I was babysitting at 11, and I was a good leader back then. I lead with fun. But when I say no, I mean no. When I say something, I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. So kids learn that. But I lead with fun. I connect with them first, and then they want to please me. So that was I figured that out. I was 11 years old and I was doing that. So yeah, you don't have, I wasn't intimidating at 11. So no, you absolutely don't have to. You know, one of the best teachers my kids ever had, anyway, she was lovely. It was Ann Walker. And she was the teacher all the other teachers went to for advice and all that. She was a very kind of a frail, soft-spoken kind of woman. And all the kids, she knew what she was doing. She was a really good leader. And, you know, she was very quiet when she was getting serious. She goes, now listen here, this is what we're going to. She was just really good at it. So yeah, leadership is just about attitude and confidence. But you got to learn the skills. You got to practice it. It takes a while to get the confidence. It's like that story. One of my favorite stories with a client was she sounded like a munchkin. She had the sweetest little voice. She had a really tiny little sweet voice. And she had older kids. And I was trying to teach her that when her kids are saying, I hate you, you're rotten, I'm blah, 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 then you just look at them and go, whatever, and then just walk away. This is what I was trying to teach her. So we were role playing it. And I was pretending to be a rotten kids, right? Yelling at her and all this. And then she goes, whatever, you know, she just couldn't get it. So then, and we were laughing, trying to get her to say this really attitude kind of whatever. And then finally she goes like this, whatever. And I went, that's it. Anyway, she did it with her kids. They'd never heard that voice come out of her before. They were complaining, calling her names, really being rotten. Right? So she turned to them and went, whatever. And then she walked away and she goes, they were like this. They just couldn't believe it. So it's like, you gotta practice this stuff. It doesn't come naturally to everybody. It certainly didn't come naturally to her, but boy, everything started to change after that. She felt so empowered. But she had a really tiny little voice. So yeah, you don't have to be intimidating at all. You gotta have confidence and attitude. Okay, would a visual daily routine chart be a good idea for 3-year-old? Visual daily routine chart. It depends on what you put on it. Don't make it regimented. I'm not good at time blocking. I've got a whole bunch of stuff going on in my days, but I'm not good at time blocking. It's like I resent it. If I write down, I'm good with all the appointments, obviously, that's different. But when you try and time block what I do throughout the day, it's almost like I resent it. It's like, you're not telling me what to do. You're not telling me when to do that. And I'm the one who wrote it. So yeah, it depends on what you're putting on there. If it works, it's okay. You know, I don't really teach that. I do teach routines and structure. So the only 3 things that I would write out is bedtime routine, school morning routine, and mealtime routine. I do write those out, and they're often part of a behavior board. But I don't write out I don't time block the whole day. It's a big ask, really. If you can make it work, I guess. I don't know. Some kids might like that. Like school is time blocking. You know, there's a different time for everything. So, but yeah, in the home, I don't know. A lot of stuff that works at school doesn't work at home. So I'm scrolling ahead because I need to know that you're here when I'm answering your questions. So that's why I skip through so many questions. I need to know the age. You talked about your selfish child. Is she 2 or 16? Different answer. Oh, don't get political on here. I'm just going to ignore it. Okay, not the time and place. Example of a mealtime routine. Come to the table within 5 minutes of being asked to do so. Sit down and don't get up throughout the whole meal. So you sit down at the table and you don't get up throughout the whole meal. No toys or screens at the table, and put your dishes in the sink or in the dishwasher or on the counter before you leave the kitchen. Those are the 4, usually. The 4. And then if they don't follow it, then there's a consequence after dinner. Oh, you got a selfish 9-year-old? Well, I can't talk about selfishness because that's kind of a personality trait in a way, but you can teach her how to be polite. She might still be selfish and want everything, but you can still teach her how to be respectful. So check out the boot camp course. That might be a good fit for you. You don't want to raise an entitled child, right? So, oh my God, I had the funniest client. They had this little girl. She was 8 years old. It kind of reminds me of her. She was very entitled, an only child, very entitled. Tons of attitude. Anyway, gosh, she was so funny. The parents said the second week, she liked the behavior board the first week, and she liked the idea that her parents were getting punished, right? So in the second week, I guess things hadn't gone her way. She wasn't happy with it. She was 8. And she said to her parents, she said, "You guys are wonderful parents. You don't need that lady." And she pulled down the behavior board, and the parents said, "Yes, we do." And they put it back up. I've never heard of a child buttering up the parents to get rid of me. Like, wow, that was pretty clever. But yeah, she learned how to be more polite and less selfish. Yep. The thing is, once they learn how to give and how to be respectful, they start to like themselves more. They get pride in themselves. So that's what you're doing. You're not stopping the selfishness. You're raising the self-esteem and the pride. So that kind of combats the selfishness. Oh, am I still on Instagram here? I got to move over to TikTok. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm heading over to TikTok now. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. The boot camp course is 5 weeks, lots of videos, mostly written. They're all online courses, but the coaching is Zoom with me. Anyway, thanks so much. And I'm heading over to TikTok now, and I keep all of my lives are saved on YouTube, which is where I'm also on YouTube. Okay, bye now. Oh, TikTok just told me off. They don't like my lighting. That's okay. I look better in the dark anyway. Okay. Thanks who answered my questions. Oh, okay, yeah. Does the meal end for them, or should we have a read? Oh, if they break the mealtime routine during the mealtime, don't worry about it. Just keep going. But after it's all over, that's when you say, remember when you got up, so you didn't follow mealtime routine. Let's go to the behavior board. Here's the consequence. So you don't punish or hand out a consequence during the meal, and you don't say anything. You wait till after the meal, and then you assess how it went, and then you hand out a consequence if necessary. Okay. Oh, sorry, I'm on TikTok now. I was just talking to YouTube. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me on TikTok here. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. And if you look at the link above, you'll see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. Did I already say all that? Sorry, I'm a little bit scared. I'm often in bed at like almost now, so I'm no good at night. I'm up early, but I'm no good at night. So, okay. So let's get going with your parenting questions. I'll do my best to answer them. What's your thoughts on sleep training? Everyone does it differently too, so I can't really answer that. That's like saying, what's your thoughts on disciplining? Well, it depends on how you do it. So yeah, I don't have any comments about other people's methods. I never do. And put the ages of your children down here, or else I can't answer it. Okay, this is from Lori on YouTube. I have to tell my kids multiple times to do things like pick up toys. They're 5 and almost 4. Well, I don't really tell kids to do that. Like, what you do is you say your rule is you have to pick up 10 toys within 10 minutes of being asked to do so. That can literally just be a rule on the behavior board. And if they don't, there's a consequence. Okay, so the rule is that when they're asked to do so, you got to pick up 10 toys in 10 minutes. It's measurable. The amount of toys, and have a basket for them to put them in, the amount of toys and the time. So if they don't do that, but be fair and reasonable, don't have them do it. Now, if there's 100 toys laying around, don't have them do it, 10 times in a row. So yeah, there's a consequence for everything. Just have expectations and rules. And if they don't follow them, then there's a consequence. No anger, completely calm. The disciplining, which is, I know everyone asks about it, but that's not what I'm about at all. I'm more about connecting with kids, making them like themselves. I deal with bad behavior, then I focus on the good kid. Where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. If you're always focused on their bad behavior and trying to fix them, then they're never going to be fixed. You've got to focus on the good kid. Okay, play with them. Their love language is fun. Their love language is play. My weapon with kids was always fun and humor with teenagers. So when I was working with young children, it was fun Lisa. I was fun Lisa. With teenagers, I was funny Lisa, or I thought I was anyway. Am I pregnant? No. I'm 63 years old. It would be a medical miracle if I was pregnant. Now I'm pretty skinny and I'm 63. Okay. I just bought this thing. I've got 3 of them. I belt it when I go out. But oh my God, it's like wearing pajamas. It's fantastic. Okay, 18-month-old just starting to rebel. How do I grow as a leader? Okay, with toddlers, it's about consistent corrective actions when you're disciplining them. The rest of the time, you're playing with them or you're doing the dishes or whatever. Okay, I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. And this is more about managing yourself and managing the environment. You can't really manage a toddler yet because they can't manage themselves. You can never really manage someone else anyway, but you're teaching them that you are a leader, but they'll eventually follow along, but not yet, because they're too little. A toddler to me is under the age of 3. The behavior board starts at 3, and that's a preschooler is 3. Okay, these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler, you do so in their world. You don't go to the nail salon with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill. They start to look at you differently when you enter their world. Their fun is their love language, okay? And number 4 is stop with the mini therapy sessions. When you're disciplining a toddler, it's quick, just consistent corrective actions, and then let it go. None of these mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions. That is absolute crap. Another thing I absolutely hate, get down on their level and say, use your words. What a patronizing, nasty thing to say to a toddler. They are using their words, kicking and screaming and tantruming. That is their words. That's how they're communicating. Respect that, okay? Don't expect them to find their inner adult. Use your words. God, if someone said that to me, I think I'd punch them. Okay, I'm not physical, but you know what I mean? I would hate that. Okay, number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years, and the first year you were a potato laying on a mattress. Like, they're just forming. I always call them crazy. It's just that they haven't developed sanity yet. They're not there yet. Cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. So yeah, that's how you start with your leadership skills, but it's just not really going to kick in, right away. But I'll tell you something. They do learn really, like young quite young. And the way I know this is my husband was the pleaser. I was the leader. It's usually the way it goes. I was the stronger. I had a lot of experience with kids. He was a great dad, but he was more likely to try and bargain with them and, the pleaser, right? He wanted to avoid the scenes where I'm like, bring it on. I know how to deal with it. Anyway, the funny thing is that they were very different with him. When they didn't want to do something, they were very different with him than they were with me. They would definitely push him around a bit more. Whereas with me, I'd say, I'm changing your nappy, and it's going to get your diaper. In Australia, it's called a nappy. And so I said, I'm changing your diaper, and I would make it happen. Where he would be more likely to say, how about I get you a toy? Then I can change your diaper. He was kind of asking their permission. So and they were little, and they start to pick up on this energy really quickly. When mom says something, it's going to happen, right? I'm brushing your teeth. It's going to happen. With dad, they might have said, no. And, he would have said, okay, how about I get you this? And I would have said, I'm brushing your teeth, vice grip, and brushing their teeth. It would have been messy, but you got to follow through. I work with a lot of trauma children. It's hard, but worth it. Yeah, I started my business doing crisis work with teenagers. And teenagers are my favorite age. It's sort of my specialty. And it's hard. And then one day I was doing the news, and it was the news had just started. It was some kid had done something to himself. I won't go into it. Obviously, you can guess what it is. And then they wanted me to come on at the top of the news to discuss how to prevent that. And not that you always can, but anyway, I kind of have a few things I can say about it. So anyway, they introduced me as the crisis queen. I don't want to be a queen, and I don't want to be a crisis queen. And I thought, I'm going to kind of shift my focus. And so now I still do the crisis work, but I talk more about preventing all that. I'm trying to set you up as leaders rather than trying to undo the damage stuff, right? But it's very rewarding work. But I realize that my time is better spent trying to prevent that rather than putting out fires and trying to prevent them. But I still do the crisis work. But it's very rewarding for sure. Oh, yes. My husband died recently. Our daughter is 14 months old. Any advice moving forward? I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, no, got no advice. There's no fast tracking grief. And children, of course, at 14 months old, they don't understand anything. And then if you have pictures and videos of the dad, it might make you sadder. And, it's just, I have no advice. The best thing to do is to find other people who are going through the same thing you are. They'll probably who are maybe a bit further along, and they could probably help you out more than I ever could. There's that saying, misery loves company. So when you're going through something really rough, it's best to talk to other people who can understand that. I've had my own miseries in life, but I haven't had that one. So sorry for your loss. That's pretty bad. There's that saying, you're never guaranteed. Tomorrow is never guaranteed, but we all live as if it is. But sometimes it takes the rough stuff to really understand stuff. I lost my childhood. My dad died when I was 14, but he had cancer for 4.5 years before that. I lost my childhood when that happened. So I understand pain as a child. I know what that's like. But there's no easy way. You can't fast track grief. You can't avoid it. It's just part of it. See, now I'm stuck and now I'm feeling sad and I'm trying not to cry. Yeah, I just feel really bad for you. That's terrible. So anyway, okay. Lisa, you seem like a very strong person. Have you ever gotten emotional during coaching? Well, I just did. Or working with clients, I cry. Oh, absolutely, I cry. I remember years and years ago when I first started my business in 2007, someone who'd been doing this for a while gave me some advice, and they said, never get involved, never get emotionally involved. I thought, what a bunch of crap. And I do get emotionally involved for sure. I get very hyped up and I get very into when I'm coaching. And I get, especially when the dads cry. That happens quite often, especially with the crisis stuff. So I cry too, but I have to keep talking. So, because they're not paying me to cry, I think that if you're in the caring field, I believe that you have to give a part of it, part of your heart to it, rather than just your head. I just really believe that. So, and it's not for everybody. And it just works for me because I wouldn't enjoy it. If I wasn't getting emotionally involved with my clients, I wouldn't enjoy it. Are you accepting anyone to join? Yes, I am right now. I've actually just sent out some invoices yesterday for new clients. And if they don't join in, if they don't pay and they decide not to join up for coaching, I will probably have 3 openings. So sometimes they change their mind or whatever. So we'll see. I had a client, I can't remember, it was yesterday or the day before, and I use a lot of humor when I'm coaching, and it's mostly just me talking about what you got to do. I don't discuss really what you're going through, the rough stuff. I don't discuss the problems. I discuss the solutions. I'm very focused on moving forward. But anyway, this client, I use a lot of humor. They didn't laugh at anything I said. They were from another country, and they didn't. Well, most of my clients are, and they didn't laugh at anything I said. And I kept thinking, I kept looking at myself in Zoom, like, do I have a booger hanging out of my nose or something? Because obviously they just didn't think I was funny. And I use humor a lot when I'm coaching. And yeah, it was kind of funny. I thought, yeah, I got to up my skill. I should write some better jokes. And next time I'm determined to get a smile off these people. Where's your outfit from? I just got it on Amazon. I got 3 of them. It's just these big baggy pajamas, but I belt it up. Like when I'm going out, I belt it up. So otherwise, it's not that the front looks bad, but the back, it hangs down. And it doesn't just hang down in 2 legs. It hangs down like around your knees. And there's the bum shelf. It looks absolutely ridiculous. So I have to pull it up and belt it. It's so comfortable. Yeah, I bought 3 of them. It's so comfy. Does everyone do that when you find something that fits and you like it? And I usually buy 4 of everything that I like, but I only bought 3 of these because it's such a short season. So anyway, and all of my jeans I thrift all of my jeans. I find they're already worked in. I wash them a couple times in hot water before I wear them. And but yeah, I'm not into fashion. I'm usually just working out or working. Oh, and by the way, I don't let anyone come in on my lives. It only happened once, but I've been doing lives now for a couple of years every day. And I had a huge live. It was like 20,000 people in this live. And I was new. I didn't know how to, and someone asked to come in. I let them in. And then they started trying to pitch their business to my audience. And I didn't know how to get rid of them. Yeah, I've never let anybody in since then. It was horrific because I'm here to serve you, right? And then someone's coming in and pitching their ideas, like just so rude. Anyway, never let anyone in since. Okay, can you explain more about coaching? If I'm in a different country, it's all done through Zoom. I got clients all over the world, different countries. One country I don't think I've had anyone from yet is Iceland. I don't think I've had anyone from Iceland, but yeah, I coach countries all over the world. And one family I've got right now, they said, we're going to have to change the time. You should see them. They were turning up at 5:00 in the morning, their time, and they were like this. So we're trying to work out a better time for them. But yeah, they were turning up and they were just asleep. That was cute. And it was like noon for me, so I'm wide awake. 18-month-old hitting, redirecting doesn't work. I don't redirect. So yeah, it doesn't work. Check out my course. I have a mini course on toddlers who hit, bite, etc. It's one of my mini courses up in the link above if you're interested. It's a whole system on how you stop them. It's nothing fancy. It's just basically consistent corrective actions. But you got to do it every single time. They remember the one time you don't do it. They're really clever that way. They don't remember. That reminds me of my son was about 16 or 18 or something. And we were laughing at all the dumb things I've done as a mother, like all the stupid things, especially usually meals, something awful I made. And they were laughing at all this. And I said to him, well, what about all the great stuff I did? And he went, what? They don't remember the good stuff. They just remember all the mistakes and all the times you mess up. Kids are really good at that. So yeah, you got to be really consistent because I call it consistent corrective actions. Has to be consistent every single time. So just pick your battles. Pick one thing that you want to correct and be 100% consistent with it. You got to be on your game with this stuff. They're watching you. What to do with a 14-year-old daughter sneaking boys in? There's no quick answer to that. You'd have to hire me for coaching to figure that out. And that is not a quick fix. That's a tough one. Okay. The first session or two with teenagers, it's usually just about me figuring out your parenting style and how to help you connect with your teenager so they will listen to you. You got to earn some respect before we can follow through with anything, before we can even start to correct anything. Okay. New Zealand. We used to live in Australia and we used to ski in New Zealand, in Queenstown. So I love New Zealand. Does your program help autistic children? It evidently does, but I always say autism is more of a specialty. I only deal with it in coaching, but a lot of parents who have autistic children have bought the course, and it's good to be a leader, but it's maybe not going to address everything that you need help with. Okay. So a lot of people have bought the course who have autistic children, and then they'll also hire me on the side, or they just find it might help anyway. Depends where on the spectrum they are. And, there's no guarantees with any of this. Okay. It's just, I think the odds are pretty good that my methods will work with most kids. But there's no guarantee. There's no 100% with everything and everyone. It's not everything's going to work with everybody, no matter if they've got autism or not, Like I say, if you don't like me and you don't like what I'm saying, move on. You're never going to do anything I say, so you're wasting your time, right? So go on, move on to someone that you go, oh, I like them better. Then you'll actually take action. I'd rather you take action with someone else than just listen to me and not take action. So if what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you, then just move on, follow someone else. There's lots of us out there. I don't know anybody else who teaches parenting. I've never read a book on it or anything. I just teach what I learned through kids, right? I'm all self-taught. So, but yeah, if I'm not resonating with you, there's lots of other people out there that you might resonate with. I'd rather you take action with someone else than not take action with me. I think I've said that enough. How do we become one of your clients? My husband and I listen to you daily. Just check out my Kristen Sheldon. Geez, that name sounds familiar. Oh, I guess you're not a client already, or else you wouldn't have asked that. Anyway, check out the link above. You can find my coaching page, and you write down what you want help with, and then I'll get to you. I've only got about 20 people on the wait list right now. I've answered, like a lot of them I've just sent off to the boot camp course, right? I always try and offshoot everyone to the boot camp course if they've got a 3 to 12-year-old. I always say, you don't need both. You don't need coaching and the boot camp course, but a lot of people have done both because they want the boot camp course for reference material, because it's a lot of what coaching is very personal, but there's a lot of stuff in there throughout the years that you can use for reference material. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think you need it, but yeah, that's what they say they like. Tips for toilet training. I don't have any tips. I have a whole system on how you potty train. So there's not tips. It's just a whole system. I call it my potty party. And it's a course. It's one of my mini niche courses. It's in the link above. Years ago, I used to do a lot of TV back when TV was more popular. Now I don't, social media is where it's at. But anyway, I used to do a lot of TV, and I was doing a breakfast TV show. And I used to come on as the parenting expert, right? So I was teaching potty training on this morning show. And I turned up, and they had a toilet there for me. I was on stage with a toilet, and I thought, wow, I am one classy lady. Here I was on with a toilet. Anyway, it was funny. Okay. But I did it. I taught it. And they don't tell you anything either. Like, you just turn up, and there's this toilet. It's all live, right? Oh, we got a toilet for you, Lisa. Oh, thank you. You want to bring an outhouse too? And I don't know why I'm laughing. Oh, it's because it's my bedtime. I'm getting punchy. I'm not good at night. Do you bring a toddler back into a restaurant after a tantrum if they have calmed down? I'd give it a go. Yeah. And then if they start up again, take them out again, then go home. But yeah. I'd give it a go. You got to give them a chance to do the right thing. You got to give them a chance to be successful at sitting in a restaurant. But yeah, second time now, I just leave. Can we please have that in the doggy bag? And I'd be out of there. My daughter is now officially working with me full time. Today was her very last day at her corporate job. And yeah, she's now working with me full time. I'm very excited. I'm going to try and get her in on a live. She hates being in front of the camera. But anyway, I'm going to try and get her in on a live. She might just do a walk by behind me or something. But yeah, I want to get her in here. I'm very excited about that. So a lot of things are going to start changing now because she was just doing part-time with me for the last about 10 months. And when she came on board, everything just took off when she took over all the marketing. And so then she realized that, yeah, this was the place to be. So that's why she's working with me now. So I'm very excited about that. Tomorrow's our first day working together full time. So anyway, I got to get going. What's he going to say? Oh yeah, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. And I'll be back again. I'll be back again tomorrow because that's Thursday, and that's my regularly scheduled live. Is Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4:30 Pacific time. So I'll be back then, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care. Bye now.